Okay. Mindful Intimacy is back. And I told you the first day I had Dayo in the studio that I was going to keep him for. And he's doing his thing here. He's reading a book. I don't know who comes for a show and reads a book. But Dayo does. We will collect him the way we have seen him. If you have followed the series of thoughts that I've had with Adedayo, there we know. No, I'm not going to allow him again though, because if I say introduce yourself again, he will go and
they should be used to me by now.
he will do Oriki. But it's such, and I really must appreciate that you're taking this time out to sit with me, because I know you hate Lagos. I know that you came to Lagos and you wanted to just tickle, and I'm so honored that you put me on that list. Thank you, sir. If you last episode he did introduce himself as an author, and the first episode we talked about, his journey somewhat, and reading. I first saw the excerpts of the book on Facebook, of course, and I was waiting with bated breath, Abi. Down now. Oh, they down.
You are the Oyinbo now, you Bali Monzo.
Kilo wa she don't carry.
I'm a Polish Oyinbo. I did. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, I wish I could write my story as a journalist. No, I wasn't a broadcast journalist, because I'm not.
You will.
But the germs you were putting out before the book came out last July, right? July 21.
Yeah, 20.
And I was like, yeah. So this Mindfully with Tumishe podcast is about as intended, and the journey, as far as I'm concerned, resilient suffering, the pilgrimage, because it was a pilgrimage, it was a pilgrimage into broadcasting, as intended. Finish the title for me.
The journey of a Destined Broadcaster.
Yeah. So the day I reviewed this book, it was my hair is real. If you've seen my pictures, I have dreads on. So when I go to the salon, I literally hate salons. That's why I have dreadlocks. And it was taking forever this particular day. And I said, I bought this book. Let's read it. And I'm glad I did.
Thank you, Mom.
Mom.
Is that I should be a prim and proper gentleman. You are still complaining, right?
Me complain.
Or should I call you sir?
Adedayo.
Well,
All right. So when I saw the photo, I remember when we're going back and forth about the cover of this book.
Yeah.
And I remember telling you that I heard
you picked that design.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing it.
You picked that design.
Like I remember saying, I like the one with the headphones and all that. But this particular design, I've not read the book, but following your train of thought on Facebook and how you write, I'm thinking that it will be. I think this will be a first part of many. That's what I said.
Oh yeah.
I wanted a picture that was looking into the future, and I think that's why we decided on that.
Yeah.
So, as intended, you told part of the story, but I want you to tell it on this episode. Starting as a broadcaster wasn't your choice, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was accidental.
Okay, so broadcasting chose you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Most of us, right?
Oh yeah.
Broadcasting chose you.
The ones who chose broadcasting never get into broadcasting. Go and check the number of people with certificates in mass communication, this and that. They are hustling in banks, counting money.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, somebody.
I know for a fact that broadcast, especially in Nigeria, is a tedious journey.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I don't even want to go in, because by going to my story, funny enough, this morning before you came in, I was having a conversation with Semili Olua, who was in who is an actor.
Okay.
He was also, he started his broadcast career with Lagos Traffic Radio.
Okay.
But he was the husband of, I've not seen the movie, but I hear he was the husband of the tomato seller, pepper seller in A Tribe Called Judah.
I've not seen it myself.
Oh, good. Okay.
Although, shout out to the guy who wrote that story. Colin Soko is my friend.
Oh, nice.
Sorry.
And I hear the story is really relatable. I've not watched. I don't like cinema, so until it comes onto any streaming platform.
Thank you for not watching it on Telegram. God bless you.
Immediately,
God bless you.
Why would I do that?
I bless you with the anointing I inherited from my father. God bless you.
We don't even want. If we go into piracy, we won't finish this conversation.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
I had a friend who I used to tell, "Hey, don't be downloading PDFs if it's not sold. Don't be." And she's like, ah. But when she was part of the process of the production of living mindfully journey to being. So one day we were going through bookshops to drop the books, and you say, "See anybody back down?
I will keep there." Carry lie. Now you know the truth.
And I said to her,
"You burn the midnight candle, and then someone comes around to rip you off like that."
Yeah. and then she was like, "Okay, to me now." And I said, "Yeah, I wouldn't. I never ever, even when streaming became, I would rather buy an album off the streaming platforms until, of course, all the platforms now have a subscription and all that. But I would rather. It's creativity is.
Hey, you know how I say it in Yoruba? I say Ojula. So someone will go through all of that and then come back, and then you want to have that job for free?
It's all right. So broadcasting chose you. You have talked about how Abimbola helped you. Let's go through that story of you meeting Mr. Abimbola at
Top Radio.
At Top Radio. That's Mr. Abimbola the tall Mr. Abimbola. Yeah.
Should I describe him as tall? He was about my height.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit taller than me.
You know, as I said it now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah. Go ahead.
The job show.
Yeah. Let's hear the story.
Okay. Like I said in one of the episodes we did. I was in Ibadan. You know, I just come out of another engineering job, and I was totally not fulfilled. I just knew mixing cement was not my thing. I knew cement. Yes, now I knew AutoCAD was not my thing. I knew construction management was not my thing. It was clearly just about the money. But I stepped out, and then I told myself, okay, guy, you need to reflect on what is next. So I rented a house in Ibadan, and then decided to. Now the house I rented was very distant from people I knew in Ibadan. I had a number of relatives in Ibadan that were always together and all of that. So I went to take a place quite far from them. So not many of them even knew my house. So I was just there living my reality. I would wake up in the morning, think, what do I do? What is the next thing to do? What is this and that?
Oh, so that 1 year with that job was at Ibadan?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was that. So I would pick up my laptop in the morning, look for what I could learn online. Then I encountered web design. I would find materials, teach myself this, teach myself that. Then I encountered liquid soap making. I visited one of my aunts. She showed me, okay, beautiful, this is not bad. So I was just picking up the skills, gathering them so fast. And then one day my dad called me and said, you this guy, you just went to sit there in Ibadan. It's not like you are in a job. You are not doing anything. What do you want to do with your life, gun? At the time, the lady I was even dating, we were planning to get married. But I was telling myself I will not go into marriage without defining my purpose. I need to define what this purpose is. So I was there, and then he called me and said he went for one. My dad was Baptist, so he went for one Nigerian Baptist convention meeting in Ibadan. Then he said, I even came to Ibadan today. I couldn't call you. That someone came there to deliver a talk, and then he told the person that he has a child that will need his service, that is a human resource consultant. I said, okay, that's not bad. I said I should go and see him. Okay, what's this person's name? He said Bimola Adewale. Okay. And then I called Bimbolade when he asked me to come to Lagos. Let's talk on Top Radio Agidingbe. You market yourself. What he was doing then was, if you are looking for jobs, he will make you market yourself on radio, and then employers could listen to you and then like your value offering and call you over. So I went there. We had that conversation on radio, and after the show, we just stepped out and Bibola said, "Dayo, are you looking for an engineering job?" I said, "No." He said, "I could tell you were not enthusiastic. Okay, what do you want to do?" I said, "To be honest with you, I don't know. But I think what I saw you do is fascinating." I said, okay. I'm starting a show in Ibadan. Let's meet there. You can just sit in and then watch if that's what you want to do. Okay. And then we met in Ibadan, Fresh FM, Ibadan. So on that occasion, I got there. There was another guy who was there to see Bimbola Dewali, and then we were just talking. And then Bimbola came and said, there's a problem. What's the problem? He said, the proprietor of Fresh FM, Mr. Yinka Ayefele, was saying that the show had to run in 2 languages, that this is Ibadan. The Ibadan people will connect better with the Yoruba content. And Bimbola could not speak Yoruba language to save his life. He said, so which one of you can do a beautiful Yoruba script? Now look at this. There's a way life prepares you for your future, but you often do not notice. Now, I had to call from a well of experience. And what was the experience? While we were much younger, my dad had a habit of, we'll sit in front of our house in the evening, and then he would tune to the only radio station on show at the time, OSBC radio. And then we'll listen to all manner of things. I can remember all manner of sick tunes from the station just seated there. You hear radio, you hear all of that. So when he said a program promo, I had to ask myself, okay, which of those things I once heard will qualify to be called a program promo? Then and then I remembered that was a Saturday program that my dad will make you listen to against your own will, because of course he will listen to it every Saturday anyway. So I was now fashioning my thoughts after that thing I remembered. So I just did that program promo, and he said, okay, can you record it? I said, I can record it. I should be in right now. I go record them now. So we went to the studio, and then this wonderful guy, God bless him, the production manager, he was so gentle with me. He was explaining, this is how you do it, your voice should do this, your voice should do that. Okay, shall we record?
Everybody needs to be gentle.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. That's blackmail. That's blackmail. Don't mind that.
Go ahead.
I'm a child of a deacon, for crying out loud. Gentle as a dove. Oh Lord. So we recorded, and it came out, and everybody loved it. And then he said, okay, Dayo, you are supposed to sit in, but can you be translating the show live on radio? I said, why not? I'll translate now. And then the next week we started, and I came in as a translator for the job show on Fresh FM. And we're there, he will just do his thing, and then he will go, Dayo, give it to me in Yoruba language, and then we'll go. I was totally loving it. And of course, I've had trainings in human resource management, so I had my certifications in that too. So it was more like a familiar terrain for me. Yeah. Whatever I was saying, I already had some knowledge, so it was easy for me to just put in Yoruba language because I already knew about them. So we continued, and we're doing it. And then someday, we had a fallout. I don't remember what exactly led to it, but it was what separated us. Oh, wow. So I left him after 3 months. And thought, I know how to write proposals. How bad can it be to write a radio proposal? And then I sat down and wrote a radio program proposal with as much effort as I could. And then we presented it to one radio station in Ibadan, Impact Business Radio. And the general manager loved it, and she said, oh, this is a beautiful idea. Let's run it. I called it Karakata. What it was supposed to do was supposed to give employment advice, business advice, and then some bits of employee skills that you'd need. That was exactly what it was supposed to do. So we proposed it in 3 languages, coming from the experience I've had with Fresh FM. So we proposed it in English, Pidgin, and Yoruba language. Yeah. And she loved the idea. Now I was working with two friends, Toyi Adeyemi and what's her name now? I must not forget. Lie. I remember her name. So we're working together, and then Toyi just mentioned me. But there's this app that they used to. My background was in civil engineering.
Yeah.
She said that while she was studying communication and language arts, that they taught them the use of one Audacity. I said, okay, say no more. They left. So later at night, I was already obsessed with self-learning, self-teaching.
Yeah.
So I sat down with Audacity, downloaded it, and I sat down with it and found that, okay, this interface is not tough. I could find my way around it. So I called them, let's record the next morning. And then, what did we do? I lived in a room and parlor self-contained apartment. So we carried my mattress up, used it to block the window.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. Took pillows, blocked the door under. We just blocked everywhere. And then we sat around the table, the only table I had in my house at the time. We sat around the table. And then I had bought one headphone that had the microphone.
Right.
So we now plugged in the headphone and put it in the center of the table. So we're all using it. So we're projecting the voice very loud.
You probably were shouting.
So we're just all doing our thing. It was that amateur. And we recorded it, sent the demo to that station. And somehow, like I said in the first episode, somehow the general manager loved it again. Because the fortunes kept aligning in our favor. So she listened to it and said, oh, this is a beautiful concept. We'll give you 1 hour. And then we started. Then began the financial strain that comes with
broadcasting.
So we started running the show, but we're not making one kobo. We will go every week.
By the way, everybody outside thinks you're making the world.
Oh yeah, because you're popular. Okay, I remember her name now. Helen Hile. So we were running the show. Nothing was coming in. Then on the third month, I think we made 11,000. Yeah, 11,000. I wrote it in the book.
You wrote it.
11,000. The 11,000 was not even our money. It was, we just take 30% of it. So it was 3,300 that we made in reality, because the money was for the station. We just took a 30% cut. So we dropped that. Now, while that was going on, someone just told me a new radio station just opened in Oshobo. And I told myself, okay, in truth, if I want to grow, I should grow from a location that is not too competitive. Grow from there and come back to the bigger stages. So I told myself, yes, Oshobo will go. So I did another proposal, sent it to Oshobo. Proposal got to Oshobo. First month, they didn't get back. Second month, they didn't get back. Then third month, I just got a call. This and that from Oshobo. Can you please come over to discuss your proposal? And then I visited. And then we sealed my program time. I got 1 hour, but with a caveat. Remember I said, fortunes always align in your field. And then this guy said, well, we have a business advisory program that's already running in English. Now, can you run your own program in Yoruba language? I said, well, yes, I can. I have capacity to do it. That was how we started Karakata in Yoruba language. So we started, we're doing our thing. It was going on smooth. By then, the two ladies that I was working with had left to pursue other things. One she's still now in the civil society. The other went back to school to take a master's and all of that. So I started running. And then after the first year, the CEO of River FM was Mr. Femi Adefila, was discussing with someone. Okay, I have an idea, a Yoruba political interview that will be punchy, that will really put people to the sword and make them. Maker. Oh Lord! And then the person said, the only person I know in this station who can do it is Dayo, and he speaks impeccable Yoruba language. And he said, okay, let me talk to him. And I went because I was freelance. Yeah. I was running my show freelance.
Okay.
So I went to his office and then we discussed it. Can you run it? I said, why not? And like I said, life prepares you, but in most cases you do not know.
Yeah.
Now, my dad was a politician.
Okay.
So most of the people that were going to be my guests were either my dad's friends or people he had played some politics with at some point. So even if I had not met them physically, I have heard him talk about them. Do you understand? So I knew I was coming from a well of information. So I came into that program and the first person that came around was my dad's friend. So I mentioned, I was like, oh, one more digging. Well, that didn't come. And we started. And from that day, the name rose in leaps and bounds. And that's how broadcasting chose me.
Journalism chose you.
Like, he just picked me out of 0 like this.
How did Daddy respond to that?
He was not in support.
Do you know why I'm asking? Again, we must stop having things in common. Of course, you know my dad was an engineer.
You have to stop copying me.
Whatever. Yeah, of course, you know my dad was a civil engineer. Like, as you made me understand, they were colleagues, and he had how I studied English. Let's not even go there. But I studied English, and my father couldn't read English. Like, what do but of course I got to EQFM, Radio Lagos and all that. But I think I know that to buttress your story of life and lining and universal lining and all, my dad designed, if not up to 70% of the roads in Lagos. And I schooled in my primary school was A to Z in Ajao Estate.
Okay.
So him and I literally went through these roads. I would be in the car, or he's holding me from here to Lekki when Lekki was.
She practically knew.
So I knew
the road network in Lagos.
I knew the road networks in Lagos. Enter traffic radio. And of course, we did. Apart from broadcast experience, I had no idea how to report traffic and all. But latent muscles, isn't it? And when somebody just says, "I'm here," I just say, "Okay, give me the landmark there." When I'm presenting it, give me and literally transported to when I was 6, 7, 8.
So you remembered all of this links to this. This goes to this. This goes to this.
People used to wonder, and for those who used to wonder how I did it on Lagos Traffic Radio, that was one. And then when I got tight, you know what I'll do? Hey, Daddy, this place, is it this place that you took me, Daddy? But thank you. I go back on air, and then because I have this storytelling, so I just wove stories around, and it was just smooth and fun to do. But I got bored. I won't even lie. I got bored. I love radio, but having to do traffic reports,
the same thing over and over again.
Nobody put that on me. I put it on myself. I knew that I had, because traffic can be boring, so I knew that I had to weave stories around traffic situations, help people, navigate the music that would play, that would, when a last more official calls, and then Laura Kosha, broadcasting is fun. Now, you are one of the foremost voices in the political space, broadcast political space in Osun State. How has that been?
Challenging. Yeah. If there is one thing it has taken from me, the biggest one, is my freedom to express myself publicly. Because in reality, I told someone if I spoke publicly about half the things I think in my head, oh God. So the moment I started political broadcasting, I could no longer speak of things I would ordinarily have opinions about. I could no longer speak of them. So because you
have to be fair, unbiased,
yes,
and all of that.
Yes. Particularly because society expects that I'm supposed to be neutral at all times, even when the government of the day does not satisfy me. Do you understand? So it took away my freedom of expression. I could no longer speak publicly about issues. It also took away my freedom of movement. Because now, you do not know the person you interviewed the last time whose fan, whose follower has something against you and will just meet you up somewhere and beat the living daylight out of you. So I had to again trim my movements to areas I know I feel completely safe. I could not speak publicly I no longer could go anywhere I desired. So those were the two things it took from me, the two most painful things. But those are not too much sacrifices to make in making the right impacts I should be making within society. So again, how has it been? I told someone, I said, I have met every meaningful political leader in Osun State, every single one of them. And I have relationships with almost every single one of them. Now, it has broadened my scope of understanding of politics. Because trust me, whatever a politician says to you on set is different from what he's going to say to you after the program. He's going to tell you the truth after the program. They love to talk, really.
You and I know.
But he will never say that truth on here. So I've gained insight into a lot of things I would never know about the politics of Nigeria and the politics of Osun State. So when I give insight nowadays, I'm coming from a place of very deep knowledge. I told you my dad was a politician before he died. There was a time we had an argument about the governorship election in Osun. And after the act, I told him, man, when next I give you an information, don't doubt it. I deal with people who conclude on these issues. Sometimes they will lie to you because you are both politicians. They won't lie to me because they assume that I'll keep my mouth shut anyway. You can't post it now. I feel like you get. And most of the time they tell me because they feel I need to know so I know how to protect them on here. Do you understand? So for me, it's been a mixture of realities, some very beautiful ones, and some that I less desire. I love to speak my mind. I don't censor my thoughts. I love to boldly assert. I love to move around freely. But I can't do all of that.
No, you cannot.
I cannot. I can't.
Okay, so let's get back to as intended. All right. In my review, this is in my review of that book. I said, though I'm not certain Adedayo intended to come off, pardon the pun, as a motivational speaker. In fact, he points out himself, it is almost impossible to have walked this path, navigate such a journey, and not come off as sagely in some of your speeches. In Lessons I've Learned, he bravely calls out the perception of the Nigerian society, albeit subtly. The message still is clear. Virtue must flow both ways.
Both ways.
From you and then
back to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's in the book.
Yeah. What informed that is I found that, just like I said in one episode we did earlier, I said that you must deliberately plan your life's journey. Now, in planning your life's journey and in being intentional about the kind of people you relate with, you must also be planning what you give to those people who come into your life. Now, if I had walked onto radio, let me say this. To God be the glory, there are a lot of people I met in the industry. Of course, a lot of them are younger than me anyway, but in the industry, they are my ancestors. Let's agree on that. Now, but there are a lot of people I met in the industry who today cannot lace my shoes. I say this with all confidence. And that's because the value I came in with was different from what they were putting on the table. So if I expect that journalism is going to make me, broadcasting is going to make me what I want to become, then I must be prepared to give it what it is going to take from me. Do you understand? So value must flow from me to the industry, and then the industry will give me the value that I'm looking for. Virtue must flow both ways. So it is why I always say that everything in life is transactional. Everything.
And we always quarrel about that.
Everything in life is transactional. Even marriage is transactional.
Let's not quarrel about that right now. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So I believe that no human gets to where they want to be without giving virtue to certain things. It must proceed from you to people, and then must proceed from them. The moment it becomes one-sided, that relationship ended.
Oh, definitely.
It ended already. So it's part of the lessons this journey taught me. Because the creative industry, you must be giving value. Otherwise,
value is gonna go.
It's gonna go.
And that leads to the other part of the book, the gifts of people, and so that we don't give everything away about the book. But the gift of people is probably my favorite, because personally, People will always matter over everything. You cannot overstate or understate the impact of relationships, good or bad. What stands out to me is the opening paragraph of this chapter, where he calls out the Nigerianness of expecting a person who will help you to break protocol so they can favor you. Let's just let that marinate for a bit. Talk about it, just for a bit.
Breaking protocols. How do I say these are not offend Christians? How do I say that not offend Christians?
Anybody actually.
Because nowadays people go to church to pray that God should break protocols for them. But I think there is... okay, we're having a conversation yesterday. I had one very, very deep conversation with a friend in Lagos yesterday. And then we're talking about a public servant who got into office and began to misbehave. And I told my friend, I said, he was not prepared in the room of process.
Sure.
I said, if he had seen process, if he had gone through the normal process of life and found himself in that public office, I am sure he would have done better. Now, protocol does not necessarily mean you have to stay long on the queue. No. But protocol, when we refer to protocol, it's actually a process. If you are not going to sweat it out on the queue to get to the front, you must sweat it out inside your room preparing. You have to. You have to. Because what leapfrogs you from the back of the line to the front of the line is higher value. Is higher value. You understand? So when most Nigerians think that, okay, God will just show up, swords blazing, and then say, this is my child, take her to the front. God will not promote you emptily. You have to be coming to the table with value. You understand? So if you are going to break protocol for you, it must be that you have gone through the process.
Okay, so let me help you, since you don't want to offend questions, but let me just help you with that. Okay, so David, King David was,
that's one that snatched someone's wife.
King David.
Let's not do it.
What have I done to myself like this? Anyways, King David was a skilled musician, isn't it? Yes, we all know, and then also we all know the story of how he decided that he was going to fight Goliath and all of that. But I'm using the skilled musician part because when Saul was schizophrenic, and he was,
and he needed to calm down,
and he said, find me a skilled person. That skill was what broke protocol.
Oh yeah.
Are we balanced?
Yes. Are you okay now? But the current day idea is God just lifting you from the back of the line to the front without preparing you.
Are we okay?
Even Jesus, God prepared Jesus.
Have I helped you?
You helped me. Thank you.
It's okay.
You have been kind for the first time today.
Okay, so the way I conclude this, just this review, and you didn't respond to it, so I'm hoping that you respond today.
Okay.
I said Adedayo ends this letter to upcoming broadcasters with a final note to self and a Terminator-like affirmation: I am coming back. Was this a letter to upcoming broadcasters, or was just this?
Can you come again with that question? I was distracted a bit.
Adedayo ends this letter to upcoming broadcasters with a final note to self and a Terminator-like affirmation: I am coming back. So my question is, was my perception right? Was this a letter to young upcoming broadcasters? Not even young, because you didn't start young. Yeah, I needed to do that back. You didn't start. You started at an old man.
Don't worry, this is your round time coming.
Is this a letter to upcoming broadcasters, intending broadcasters?
It's a letter to myself. The reason it's a letter to myself is what I talked about in one of the episodes was going forward in time to the time when you're going to be old and free, and then looking back at what you did with your life. Now, on the side of this podcast, we were having a conversation, and I told you that was it you I told us on Wednesday, but I think I've said it in the last 24 hours. I said I'm going to still do 3 more career changes.
Yeah, you said it
in my
you said-
lifetime.
Yeah.
And I told you what is next in my journey. I'm very sure. I'm sure when I step out of the radio business, what is next in my journey, I already told you. I know it. I am clear about it. You understand? Now, that was me telling myself that there's going to be a lot more memories to create, a lot more to do. Now, we can flip it and say that it's also a letter to upcoming journalists for 2 reasons. Number one, my book, let me tell you why I wrote that book. Number one, the book was written because I want people to understand that within the media industry, you can rise for as long as you bring value to the table.
Yeah.
And some persons would say, I first had to go and learn from one Oga for 4 years. And then one day we picked a date and we had freedom. And then I knelt down, he prayed for me and all of that. I think you can do well into this broadcast industry without having to go and kneel down for freedom. Someone came to me recently and said she wants to learn broadcasting and she wants to be attached to me. And I asked her a very silly question. I said, did they teach you how to talk? She said, no. Well, I grew and started talking. I said, the only thing that you learned along the line was what to say, not how to talk. That's a biological, it's already in your biological composition. You will talk at a certain age of your life if there are no biological defects. But what you learned along the line was what to say. You acquired knowledge, you got wisdom, and then you knew what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Now, if you want to learn anything in this industry, it's just how to say it and what not to say. You bring content to the table, content that is valuable to the audience. The radio wants to listen to you.
True.
And then you bring that to the table, you know how to say it and not get into trouble, and you are fine. You understand? So I wanted it to be clear to young people who would read that book that it is possible to come from outside of the circle. When I came in, people considered me to be an outlier from outside of the circle to now make impact within the industry. And that could be taken into every other industry.
Everything in life. Actually.
Yes.
Everything.
If there is a will, you can get it done for as long as you go through process. That's number one. Number 2 reason I put that there, and which is also a reason for which the book is written, is to document myself. And that comes from a place of emotion. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, you have emotion. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Well,
Go ahead. Go.
now my dad.
It's on record. Adedayo.
Can we delete this part?
No.
Can we just delete this part?
In a place of emotion, cue out. Cue in.
You see.
Cue in.
One of the ways I make decisions in my life is I want to make a very vital decision, and then I'll ask myself, what would my dad do?
Yeah.
Now, if the things I'm thinking about are things I thought he did not do right, I do the opposite. Now,
so you are an upgraded version of your ancestor.
Yes. Now, if I thought those were parts of his life that I did well, I do the exact thing he would do. But he's my model. Now, one of the things he did not do right, yeah, I say this with all sense of responsibility. God rest his soul. One of the things he did not do right was I did not document himself. How you grow from being a farmer in the village to going to school to study banking and finance to going through all of that as a barber, as a warded in the hospital, and then rising to become the principal accountant in the same hospital where you were warded is worthy of documentation. You should tell us how it happened. That you were just someone cleaning the floor in the hospital, and some years after you came back to that same hospital, a mission hospital with white men, and became a principal accountant in that same hospital. You should document yourself. You should tell us how your life went. At the same time, you were having kids and balancing all of that. And then you metamorphose from that into a full-blown politician. At a point, you were special advisor to the governor on health and social services. You managed the health sector in the state as a banker, and you navigated that properly. At the same time, you were a music composer for several churches. At the same time, you wrote several books for several people, and you did not document yourself. So, someday I woke up and told myself, nah, I will tell the story of my entire life to the last minute. Oh yeah. Because people need to wake up one day and pick lessons from how I navigated. There are several points in my journey that a lot of young people are facing right now. you have studied the course that does not give you fulfillment. So you're asking yourself, what do I do next? I say, step back, review what you want to become, and go all for it. Even if it means dumping your certificate somewhere. I've been, a while ago I was insulting my wife. Well, it was a joke anyway. You know, I was just messing with her. I sent her some money and she said, no, me, I'm not taking this. We go. I have a master's degree, young man. And then I said, which master's degree? What are you using it for?
I knew it.
And then she said, oh, they get out, Joe. You know, but the idea for me is, you have gone to school, and she has almost my story. She went to school under guidance, and then studied this, studied that, and then came back and found that, this is not me now.
Okay. So my final question before we talk about, my takeaways from the book is, how will this impact this journey of yours, and especially this education thing that parents guide their children to, how will it impact your raising your wonderful princess?
Okay, I'll share this. Someone said, I was talking to a lady. She was, okay, I'll call her my colleague, a younger colleague. So she's given to a lot of makeup. She works on TV anyway. We also have a TV hub in my organization. So I was seated that day and she was making herself up for a show. And it was the second hour she had been on it. And I said, Mama, how long do you want to stay on this? She said, maybe you have a daughter, Olga. When she grows up and likes makeup, come back and talk to me. And then I said, if she's truly my daughter, our priorities will be different. She said, why? How can you be sure? I said,
Because it's my daughter now.
If anybody meets me today, you can easily tell, without me telling you my name, you can easily tell I'm the son of my father. Because I embody him. You understand? I embody him fully. Do you know, since when I've been typing documents for my dad and he will say, go back and make sure you don't bring any error to me. And then I will edit line as I type, I will edit line by line, and then go back and say, hey, perfect, this is how to type.
We now understand where the OCD comes from.
So for me, I told my wife, the only way is to be intentional. We've had that conversation today, role modeling. I want her to understand life's priorities. I want her to be able to sequence her priorities properly. I'm not going to choose a direction for her, but I want her to be able to understand what is expedient and what is not. I want her to be able to understand that these things in life are urgent, these ones are not, these are the important things, these ones are not the important things. So that when she gets to any point in her journey, she can easily stand aloof and say, okay, this is the issue. Is this urgent? Is this important? And be able to sieve out what is important to her and what is not important to her. You get? So my intention is we raise her as intentionally as possible and make her as intentional
and kind.
as possible and kind. Yeah, as possible.
All right. So what I took away from that book, that's how you're going to round this up. What I took away, if it's wrong, if it's one of your objectives, fine. If it's not, I will cry. But what I took away from that book is a story of resilience, a matter of fact approach to life, and a not so subtle desire to champion a change.
Yeah. I'm different. My thought patterns are different from most people. My way of life is abnormal. I know that very sure. Of course, I know. And in fact, in most cases, people think I'm rebellious. Because I do not think...
Renegade.
You had to find a worse word. Because I feel that normalcy is boring. I think those who make the books, those whose lives are worthy of studying, were people who desire to blaze another trail, who desire to go this way while the world went this way. So for me, the book is about my story of resilience. It's about my story of intentionality. It's about my journey to fulfillment. It's about my decision to stick with my guts. There are those times when it doesn't make sense to any other person. They just look at you and say, what are you looking for? And then you just know within you that this is where I want to be. I have absolute peace here. I took a decision recently to exit my assignment on River FM. And then I discussed with someone and then he looked at me like, are you mad? And I said, guy, it is time. He said, but you are at the height of your relevance. I said, don't worry. It was myself, Adedayo, that built that relevance. And where I'm headed, I'm going to build another. And it takes me to, let me say this. A friend of mine, a photographer, he parked this car in front of a bank and then thieves went there, broke into his vehicle and took away his camera. And then he called and was crying. You know, he had invested whole of himself. I was crying, all of my life's investment gone. One second. And I said, slow down. Was it nature that gave birth to the camera? Or it was the camera that gave birth to nature? He said it was nature that gave birth to the camera. I said, okay, is nature dead? I said, nature is still alive. I said, we go again. They stole that, you fire again. You buy another one. And then you look back and say, nature is a tough guy. So that's my disposition to life. That's a story of me going again. That's a story of me telling myself, this world, we're going to break it down. Every stage I will speak on, I have seen it before now. I am not a prophet, but I know that I will walk my way 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, and get there. Because that's my intention. You get? And I'm going to travel one baby step after another and find myself right in the midst of what I wanted. You know, so it's my story of intentionality, my story of self-motivation. It's my story of paying the price for what I want. And finally, it's my story of motivation to those coming behind me.
Though you said in the book that you're not a motivator. Thank you. What have you been doing?
I always say that I pray that someday God does not force me into a situation where someone is about to kill themselves and I'm the last person they have contact with.
So, thank you very much.
I will finish that thought. I will finish it. No, the reason is I feel that there is too much uncertainty in wanting to kill yourself. Sorry, I'm a 2 + 2 person. There's too much uncertainty in it. When I now get to heaven, what if I continue what I was facing here? No, really. I'm already here. And nobody has been to heaven that came back to me and said, this is what they do there. What if I now get there and they say, Aluta, continue. What you were facing there, you will come and face it.
Victoria Asata.
We will do Victoria Asata here. we go again. We fall down, we rise. We fire again.
My. It's been such an honor to have you talk about As Intended, the journey of a destined broadcaster. Where can we get the book?
Oh, it's not in every bookshop currently, but it's on seller. It's on seller.
So
find my profile Adedayo, there it's on seller. I
okay.
even prefer the soft copy. Just run through it because I'm going to update. And then there's going to be a thicker version when I'm older. It's on seller. Adedayo, there is my profile on seller.
All right, I'll also add that to the show link. I'll add the link to the show link. So if you are listening to this, please just go to seller and pick a book. It's actually for me as I can't even call myself an ex-broadcaster, but in this instance,
Ex-broadcaster, please.
I'm an ex-broadcaster. That book,
broadcaster
really,
ancestor.
That book really
podcaster now.
I should get this guy out of my studio. That book really did, it took me to places that, somebody understands what it means to start, push against the friction, the wind, and just come out blazing. So get the book, As Intended, the journey of a destined broadcaster on seller. My name is Oluwatumise Oladapo Kuku. Love yourself, love your neighbor, love your country, above all of this.
You can love me too. I'm lovable, I'm kind, I'm intentional, I'm a good person.
Please stay curious because this guy. Thank you. See you next week. Peace out.
Bye.